Now we're joined by two gentlemen. Yusuf Dantale is the chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC. Andrew Mamedu, sitting beside him, is the country director of Action Aid Nigeria. They'll discuss the implications and what this moment means for Nigeria's democracy. Gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you, Chamberlain.
Good morning, Nigeria.
Let me start with you. Being in IPAC and looking at all of these things as they are progressing. But first of all, you are a political party, you civil society. There's chance that people think, well, two of you are on the same page for now, but it doesn't mean moving forward that it will always be the case. But let me start with you. Now they're going to be convening. So many expect that they will just go in there and do the right things. And you don't have to wait for that reconciliation committee or harmonization committee to do that job. Just do it today, as it were. I'm sure you're very optimistic about that.
Thank you. Good morning once again. My own approach will be a bit different. We're talking about elections. We're talking about democracy. We're talking about Nigeria as a country. So we have to be very careful and meticulous about what we demand from the people at the Senate for Nigeria. So yes, it is a welcome development to erase human influence when it comes to the process of election, but we still have to be very careful how we go about demanding for these things. Yes, if we said election should be collected electronically, transmitted electronically, fine and good. But the questions are, does INEC have the capability to transmit this election electronically? If INEC have, yes, how are you going to go about transmitting this election? Nigerians must know how you want to do it. Maybe through the conduct of a mock transmission of the process. Secondly, if INEC does not have the capability, and INEC need to partner with other agencies like the NCC, maybe service providers like MTN and others, we still have to. There should be law. We have to know exactly the role of these agencies or institutions. How are they going to contribute to the system? If we know their role, we should also know the laws that will regulate their own activities in relation to the election transmission stroke upload. And also, we should be careful to also take care of a situation where there is failure in the system, because the system in itself is not devoid of failure. So where the system fails, what is to be done? Where there is discrepancy between what is uploaded or what is transmitted and what we have on the paper, what happens? So the law must look at all these things so that we do not jump into a bigger problem than we are. But in all, it is a welcome development to have elections transmitted and erase human influence so that we know if we have votes A, let it be A as it is all over.
Mr. Mamedu, what do you think?
Yeah, thank you very much. Let's go back to 2023 general election. So basically, INEC had the mandates from the Electoral Act to either, it's optional, it was optional. And INEC then came up with what you call regulation or guideline, right? And clearly, what the Supreme Court said was, regulation is a law. So just let's put it out there. So long as the regulation is not contrary to the Constitution or contrary to the Electoral Act. So INEC says that in our regulation, I think that's one part we are missing in this conversation. In our regulation, once we finish our voting in the polling units, it will be transmitted to the beavers will be used to capture the results, and it will be transmitted to IREV. And it will also be transmitted, this is the second part, Chamberlain, that we are missing. It will also be transmitted to the collation system, to INEC collation system. Two different things. But when we went to court, when the whole process went to court, I don't know, we somehow forgot. The INEC lawyers left out the part that says you will transmit it to the INEC collation system, but focused on transmission to IREV. And of course, the judges said, the Supreme Court, they said, transmitting to IREV, which is good. They are not mandated. INEC is not mandated to use the result from IREV to compare with the physical result that is coming in. What INEC regulations clearly says is that use the one coming from three ways. The one coming from the beavers, you have snapped it, which you are going to bring to the collation center. This is the beavers. The second one is what has come to the collation center, which you have already sent from the voting units. And the third one is what the physical results, which is sealed and brought in. All of them are saying. And if there are discrepancies in all these three, the one that is used, that is preferred according to regulation, is the one in the collation center, which was transmitted live in that point. So that being said, that is all we are asking, that it becomes law. So we don't come back to this after next year to start debating, did this happen, did this not happen? I will tell you what happens in some climes. India, population of 1.4 plus billion.
Yeah.
Voting population of 940 something million, right? They have some semblance of this. What can we learn from it? Indians' voting method is simply, you go to the polling unit and you vote electronically. Now, they disconnect their system. Their systems are geolocated to particular polling units. So they disconnect it from all internet. So there's no internet in it. They vote and it is transmitted there and then on the system. But you cannot tamper with it after it is done. Then this system then goes to the collation center. In our case, our ward collation center. And when it gets to the collation center, it is when it's then uploaded to their system using the internet, because they don't want interference or manipulation using the internet. Now, IREV or beavers have the capacity to work offline. We have done it in the past. Kogi election, Bayelsa election, and Edo election, Imo election. So I know of Imo, Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa. Bayelsa,
even
we can
Anambra
say,
too,
even Anambra, yes, even we can say Bayelsa has the most difficult terrain. Guess what, Chamberlain? We had 89% upload of IREV at the end of the election. When we say it's not compulsory, right? So that means if we make it compulsory and we're able to block those loopholes and challenges we have, we can get better. Imo had 94%. So close to 100. There was just 6% less and would have gotten 100. We want 100%. And those where we say, oh, we don't have internet connectivity in communities, but we're able to get 94%. We're able to get 89% in the most difficult of the terrain in these locations. So we can do better. What we're saying is, let's the current amendment read this so that we are able to have collation, not just transmission at only the polling units. We transmit at the polling units. We also transmit at the ward units, because you can transmit to ward and the ward collates, and then by the time you get to ward, the manipulation then happens. So you have three collation levels. You have the voting centers, which is the polling units. You go to the ward, you collate at the ward level. You go to the local government, you collate at the local government, and you then go to the states to collate at the state. And in some cases, President, you go to the national level. That is how it works. And at every point, we should be able to track and follow. Let the people's vote count. Let IREV show the people this is what your vote is saying and all that. And let the INEC collation system be able to be used to collate this and compare to the physical results that will be brought in hand. That is what we're saying.
So, Mr. Dantale, you appear to be cautious. You want us to approach this cautiously and asking questions about INEC's capability, what happens if there's failure in the system. Why should we be cautious, especially when and then you talk about mock elections. But we've seen several reports have been collated saying there was 93% success of transmission of certain results in the last elections. And so if we could achieve it, except for the presidential anyway. So if we achieved it at that time, why should we be now? And about the mock elections, we've seen that several times in this country. Right from Professor Maurice Iwu's time, they've done mock elections. Professor Jega's time, they did mock elections. When the result was better in down south during Professor Jega's time, it was not as good in up north. But when it was on election day proper, the reverse was the case. So why should we even rely on that mock elections system in the first place?
Here, one other problem we have is the issue of trust for the system. When we talk about uploading of results into the IREF or the INEC collation system, what is being uploaded? We have seen results uploaded with outright cancellation, alterations, that what it depicts is forgery. So some of these things, for me, the law will have to be holistic. Let's not just look at one angle. Because if you are talking of transmission, that an INEC does not have everything it takes to transmit. What happened in event of failure to transmit? And the fault is not from INEC, but from the supporting agency.
Yeah, but the INEC say they do not have that capacity. Have they complained?
That is the question. That is what we need Nigerians to know. And that is why IPAC is advocating for a wider consultation, for a multi-stakeholder presentation, debate on this thing, so that we bring all this, the experts. I am not an expert on some of this technology.
ICT officers here for the last elections, even Mr. Okoye for the last election, they were all thumping their chest that we can do this.
Yeah, but did it happen?
No, but we know what happened with the presidential. We know what happened in the other elections that they actually did to a large extent.
What happened in the public perception cannot be the same thing with what happened in reality.
You mean with that glitch, the glitch bit?
Yes. Now what I expect us to do as Nigerians is to go to the root, what exactly happened. If what we had, that we have governorship elections, where sitting governors could not win senatorial elections, where we have people or contestants that have no structures at what level, at local government level, at state government, performing wonderfully well at presidential elections. That means the votes that were allocated in the past or manufactured in the past was no longer possible. But there was one problem, which is only at the presidential election. Our focus should be on what happened at that time.
Yeah,
no, Nigeria, we are not asking, and we have not had substantial.
Yeah, but now, if it is going to be explicitly provided in the law that you have to do this, would they have a choice not to do what the law has mandated? After all, can they pinpoint one location in this country that has a polling unit that there is no network?
Thank you. Now we have a law mandating that you must do this. I still repeat, I don't know anything about it. I don't know much of science of this electronic transmission or electronic activities. But while some persons claim that this system in itself is so secure, some other persons will say, no, that we can penetrate. There are people who are professionals in penetrating the system and make it work.
You send money from your village. Nobody has penetrated that yet.
Thank you. The same money you send, there are situations you send money that it will hang. The sender will be debited, but the recipient will not receive.
Yeah, but that law
then the system will hang until you go to the bank.
No, the law has changed now. The CBN has given that mandate. So you have to reverse those transmissions almost immediately.
Yeah, but
at least within 24 hours, that should be done.
Fine. That is one. We will still have a situations where your own phone, somebody else will hack your phone and get information from your phone efficiently. They will do it. Some people will implant things that you do not have in your phone. There are situations recently.
Has it happened to you before?
It has happened several times. Up till now, they are still trying to. So most times I see how people try to penetrate. It happened. Recently, there is this claim by the Iranian government that they were able to successfully hack the phone of the chief of staff to the president.
Hackers will do what they do, but that is
advanced system.
He's given some examples of India. So India has, of course, way larger population than us.
Correct.
They are managing the elections well.
Correct.
Why can't we? Why shouldn't we?
Fine. Okay, let him
I think he's going to respond before Ayo. Ayo may have some questions for you. Ayo, go ahead, please.
Well, thank you, Chamberlain. It was actually him that was going to ask that question. The contention that I think is giving concern is e-transmission real time. And I'm looking at the definition of real time from Oxford Language here. And what I'm seeing is relating to a system in which input data is processed and within milliseconds so that it is available virtually immediately as feedback to the process from which it is coming. Do you think, I mean, the example of India that you cited, I'm not sure we can call it real time, can we?
Okay, thank you, Ayo. So technology is meant for us. We have to adapt to what we want and what is will work for our system. Ayo, the challenge is this. The last election, voters turnout was 27%. 27%. This year, in the federal budget, we have 1.02 trillion budgeted for INEC. 1.02. So we have entered trillion in budgeting for INEC. Very well. Towards the election. And over the years, we have spent trillions of naira in our electoral processes. And we have to improve on it. Looking at the whole system, our weakest link still remains the results. Getting the result from when the polling units and the final result that is declared, that is where the magic happens. And we're saying, let's eliminate the magic. And we're saying, use our system where we have invested. So beavers have the capacity to capture this, whether there is network. Let me repeat this. Whether there is network or not. So even, Chamberlain, even if you have polling unit without network, beavers captures it, stores it in a memory, but immediately it leaves its location and gets to the closest network, it transmits. That technology has been used. So we're not trying to test it. That is what I'm saying. We have gotten up to 94% in some off-cycle election, states off-cycle election.
Well, if I agree,
I agree we need to investigate.
My sincere apologies. Perhaps we need to really educate people on that which you just said now, because I mean, you are very correct. We have used beavers and it was uploading late, and people question, even during the elections, people were questioning how come we're not receiving it real time. But this is the meaning of real time. And what you're saying is something that I think we need to educate people about. Another angle that I think is a little, troublesome, or a little concerning for me, is that part where the of e-transmission, where we have to transmit paper. I mean, we take a snapshot of paper. Mr. Dantale was giving that example as well, of us taking paper with errors, with cancellations and all of that, right there in the middle of it. So do you think, how much difference will it make to transmit that same paper with those errors, as opposed to just digitizing that data, typing it all in the full glare of everybody and all party agents and all of that? So that I think that would be more of a real-time thing, of digital transfer of the election results, don't you think?
We're trying to work and see how that could be minimized. And of course, whatever means works for us. What we're saying is remaining in the status quo is a no-no. What we need to do is, we're already doing this. Let us make it mandatory. Let's put it in the law. But yes, real-time transmission, typing it, encoding it, and then sending it. Of course, those cancellation. So this is it. If you have 500 or 700 people within a polling unit, and we all wait and we see the result and it's collated, and we say, oh, this political party A, 200, political party B, 700, and somebody wanted to write 700, and, or sorry, not 700, 70, and the person wanted to write 70 and I write 700. I'm like, oh, it's a mistake, now cancels that 700 and write 70. Now, we can then decide to say all the political parties sign against that alteration, or, like you said, transfer it to electronically, type it out, snap it, and send it or upload it, but it has to be signed off by party agents that are there. It has to be agreed by the people that are there. And once it leaves there, goes to the ward level, the same thing happens. We then send from ward level to the local government level, coalition level, and from local government coalition level to the state level and maybe to the national level in the case of the president. That is what we are saying.
Okay.
We cannot remain in this point. 27 is 27%.
You're absolutely correct, about that. But let me quickly ask Mr. Dantale before Chamberlain takes over. Well, it would seem like those who are listening to you, Mr. Dantale, will probably be wondering, aren't you making excuses for INEC? I mean, we know that INEC gave some reasons as to why the glitches happened the last time. Yes, there are those who believe we can't legislate glitches. But INEC hasn't even said anything up until now about this whole hula-baloo. Aren't you making excuses for INEC or giving INEC the reason to say, sorry, we can't do it, even with the 1 trillion naira that's been budgeted?
It will appear so, but the truth which makes men free is for the most part the truth men prefers not to hear. But we have to tell it. What I am saying, I am not saying I'm against electronic transmission or collation of result, but what I am saying is it has to be done carefully so that we don't go into a more difficult or dangerous terrain that we are. That is all. Yes, the National Assembly have been there for the past 2 years. They had all the time to do what they are doing now, so that we are not supposed to approach this thing in a hurry. You don't pass laws or make laws on the basis of emotions, on the basis of enthusiasm, on the basis of anxiety. You have to be very, very meticulous. You must be careful. We have to look at every angle of whatever we want to do, so that in solving one problem, we don't create other multiple problems. This is just my fear.
Mr. Babedu, do you have any fears whatsoever?
My fear is, I hope the politicians have not made up their mind on the route to go about this. And if they've made up their mind, it should be in the positive. My fear is what this could lead to in the nearest future. It will lead to, over the years, the numbers are reducing, so we have more voter party as a result.
That is, if they don't
if this doesn't work. That's my major fear. And Nigerians increasingly would leave governance to the people. And this is it, Chamberlain. The governments have the capability to determine virtually everything. We give that right to the government. The government determines what I learn and cannot learn. The government determines that up to my curriculum, what I learn and I cannot learn. The government determines that. One of the things that the citizens demand is we have a right to then choose who should represent us or not. If you have done well, then we put you back. If you have not done well, we vote you out. So we'll let our votes count. That is basically what we're saying here.
All right. So I think we'll have to, it will be interesting to see if INEC will be back on this show and tell us that they do not have the capacity or capability to transmit these results electronically, because they've been here several times before the last elections, and they told us categorically, both the ICT staff and all of them, and their spokespersons, that they are ready to transmit the results electronically. In fact, real time, they said they could do all of that. They demonstrated it to us here with the screen. So it will be interesting to see if any of that has changed, if technology is retrogressing or progressing.
Just one. Quickly, time is of essence. So some of these could be gimmick to let time slip by and decide, oh, we are past the 360 days, we can no longer. But we are watching, and we are ready we are watching today what happens, and after this, we'll then come back as civil society and look at the next steps.
All right, Andrew Mamedu and Mr. Yusuf Dantale, thank you both for coming on this morning.
Thank you.